Hi, I'm astrologer and life coach Penny Dix. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome back if you are a regular visitor here. If this is your first visit, a big welcome to you, and I'd love it if you'd subscribe. So today I'm having a look at what is known as the Spring Equinox, and this is also the start of the astrological new year. So it's a highly symbolic time. Now, the equinox this year is on the 20th of March, and that's, as we know, 2023, and it's at 21:25 GMT. I look at it on Universal GMT time, tea time, that's very good, because I'm based in Europe. I'm English, so I kind of, it just resonates better with me to do it in the time zone that I'm familiar with. So let's have a look. And for some of you that have asked, because it has been asked of me recently, I practice Western astrology. I mostly use the Placidus tropical system, or tropical Placidus system, and sometimes I use equal house. It depends what the nature of what I'm recording is about, and basically if I'm working with clients, most of the time I will use Placidus because it gives you a slightly more richer kind of understanding of the chart. But what about the spring equinox? Because the point in time, of course, where the sun just moves at last into Aries is highly symbolic. And of course, it's the day before we have the new moon in Aries, which is also an incredibly powerful and symbolic energy coming so close after this move of the sun into Aries. So what's interesting with this chart is that it gives us a kind of an insight as to what the next kind of quarter year is going to contain, in the sense that this takes us up to the summer solstice, summer, not that far away, or for people watching who are in the southern hemisphere, it brings you to your winter solstice. So it's interesting, this kind of combination. Now, what I do want to say is that also I've been asked by people who've been watching me from, say, Australia or New Zealand, is they said, does it affect the chart and the energy? Well, to a certain extent, yes, because the ascendant changes. So there will be certain differences. You know, astrology is based on the viewpoint from the point where you are on planet Earth and what is seen in the heavens above. And so if you're in a different point in time on the planet, everything shifts imperceptibly and sometimes perceptibly. So yes, it can affect the energy to a certain extent. But we're dealing with kind of major big transits and energies, and in some ways they still hold true. It may just be that the energies play out slightly differently based on what the ascendant for any event chart would be. So let's look at the event chart for this spring equinox. So let's start, because what I'm seeing is that the majority of the planets, apart from Uranus, Mars, and Lilith, everything else is in the lower hemisphere of the chart. That's always, I think, interesting, because what it kind of indicates is that that we're moving towards a time of reflection, of inner reflection about where we go next, how we proceed next. Now, I think that's interesting because obviously in a few days' time, Pluto will move into Aquarius. So, I mean, today, or rather on the date of the equinox, which is the 20th of March, Pluto is at 29 degrees. and 57 minutes. So it's the 23rd when it actually slips into Aquarius. And I'm doing a separate video all about Pluto's move into Aquarius. At the time of recording this, which is the 5th of March, I have not yet done it. And I will be doing it in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So that will be interesting. But let's look at this event chart, because it's interesting. The 4 quadrants, as I call them, have all got fixed energy on them. So there's something about fixing something in place, because the ascendant of this chart is Scorpio, which means we have Taurus on the descendant. Our midheaven, which is how we are seen in the world at large, is Leo. And right at the bottom, the IC, which is on the cusp of the 4th house of home and family, is Aquarius. So most of the energy is in what we call the 2nd quadrant. So this is moving all the energy into areas of home, family, children, our day-to-day working routine, and a little bit just pushing into our close personal relationships. So with the sun at the 0 degree of Aries, also the 0 point of Aries is this is like, it's almost like we get 2 new moons this month. We'll get the new moon on the 21st, which is in Aries, but we also get this energy that we get with the sun's move into Aries. It's a point in time where we can start to look at what we want to set in place for the next few months. And there's something about this chart that tells me we need to be thinking creatively. We need to be bringing into our lives situations, events, projects that feed our soul. You know, the sun is about the soul. Aries is about, in a sense, new beginnings. And Aries is about I, me, the self. And it's also about my identity. So how do you want to reinvent yourself, perhaps? Is it time to sort of, blow all the cobwebs away from yourself and, just make a few changes? It's always good to put ourselves first. If we start to give ourselves that kind of energy of newness and new beginnings, and I remember when I was young, it was quite traditional that coming up to Easter time, which of course we are heading towards, you would wear new clothes. You would wear something special and new for Easter. And it's the same kind of sense with this Aries energy. What do you want to put on that is new? It doesn't have to literally be something material like clothes. It's what do you want to put on? What do you want to bring in that is new to your life? I think if you can stay with that energy, then you make good use of this start of the next quarter of the year. So let's look at what else is going on in this event chart, because, of course, Mercury has now moved away from Pisces, where it was drowning in paranoia, and is, of course, in Aries. So, of course, it is actually conjunct the sun at this point. And Mercury, of course, being our planet of communication, I think it's really had enough of being in Pisces. And it's now saying, right, now, let me tell you what happened to me while I was in Pisces. My goodness, did my thinking go all over the place. And, paranoia had nothing on it. So if any of that has affected you over the last few days, few weeks, then you'll be happy to know that Mercury moving into Aries is shifting some of that energy for you and making you feel a little bit more in charge and directional about what you want to say. Now, Mercury in Aries, of course, can be again a little bit feisty, a little bit fighty and feisty. And, let me just see what Mars is up to, because Mars is in our upper quadrant. And Mars, of course, still in Gemini, but it does leave Gemini This month, at the end of the month, it'll move into Cancer. That is phenomenal. It's been here forever. So Mars is actually moving away from a square. That's a hard, challenging aspect with Neptune, which I did talk about it a few days ago, and that could have brought quite a lot of tension and disruption and arguments and just general challenges. The moon in this event chart is coming up to be conjunct Neptune. And you know what I feel this helps with? Because it's the spring solstice, because we're at the beginning of a kind of new chapter, and we certainly are with the astrological energies. Saturn moved into Pisces. Pluto's going to move into Aquarius. We really are at the beginning of a wonderful sense of energy change, energetic change. This is super exciting. And the moon coming up to conjunct Neptune, I think really gives rise to, you may not have been very tuned into your intuition whilst Mercury was in that part of your chart. But now the moon is coming up to Neptune, I think your intuition will be spot on. I think you will really be having a sense of what is good for you, how you should proceed forward, and just kind of a sense as if you have a vision of how you can manifest your future. It really is quite exciting energy. And I think a lot of you are going to be making changes over the next few months with your living space, where you're living. Some of you will move. There's a sense, though, of putting down roots, and that wherever it is that you move to, it becomes permanent for at least the next 3 years whilst Saturn is in Pisces. So before I finish this reading, I'm just going to have a look at what's going on with the sign of Taurus, because Taurus is on the descendant of this chart. Venus, our lovely planet of relationship, of love, of self-worth, is newly arrived in the sign of Taurus. And Venus, of course, rules Taurus. Taurus can be the sign of materialism and of finance, as well as good food and indulgence and just enjoying oneself in general. And Venus can be about self-worth. There's something here about you, and in the sense valuing who you do have in your life, whether that is on a one-to-one love relationship level, whether it's significant close friends, or whether it's business partners. But it's important, I think, that you show those people in your life that mean a lot to you, that you do value them. I really feel that is good karma with the energy of this particular equinox. Now, Uranus is now at 16 degrees and 16 minutes of Taurus in the 7th house of significant relationships. Uranus is not making a specific aspect to any of the other planets, so it's just sitting here saying, well, what can I get up to here? Because remember, he's my big outer boy of freedom, of kind of freedom of expression, of surprises and shocks. And I do feel that Uranus in this particular instance is just actually bringing some surprises which might make you feel more valued in your relationships. So nice energy. And I do think that this is a time for you to find your confidence. And if you have ideas, dreams that you want to initiate, then go out there and show what you can do. There's something about, I think, exposure. I don't mean that in a naughty sense. I mean exposure of your talents, expressing your talents, and that this is a really good time to set that in motion. So there we go. So I will be back with another in-depth look at various astrological events, including the new moon, which is possibly already up or might be up tomorrow. I really don't know, because I'm recording these at the beginning of March, and I'm doing all of this now because I'm traveling. And so I've had to get a whole load of videos done before I travel. I might do some while I'm away as well, so that could be interesting. But you'll already know that because you'll be seeing this probably once I've got back. Oh, it's all so confusing. Anyway, on that note, thank you so much for joining me for this look at the spring equinox, and lovely spring blessings to you all. And thanks for watching. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your friends, all of that. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.